Looks like we've got the DEC right there. So the DEC has been on site or is on site. We may have some more folks coming to tell us to leave up here. We've got the fire department who is really up in arms because this is their thing, and you know, they basically said this wouldn't happen, and here we are. You know, the folks in the town were concerned about this exact scenario taking place. One was a fire, one was a helicopter crash, one was a fuel spill. So what they said in regards to the fuel spill was that, well, we'll just keep the fuel. Looks like another DEC truck pulling in there. Getting down to the site. So what the town said was basically, well, we'll just keep the fuel in a truck. That way we don't have to go through all of those DEC requirements of having a tank on the ground and having all the safety mechanisms supporting that. We don't have to worry about managing that. We don't have to get approval from the DEC to put in this external tank above or in the ground. So what we've got here now is a situation where possibly the truck that they actually used, which probably isn't a full-fledged vehicle that is used all that often, simply a storage facility with a motor, and that tanker is used then to provide a temporary / permanent fuel supply for that jet fuel or for that aviation fuel. And it is it's concerning that they would use this as a long-term measure to maintain fuel as a permanent solution for an EMS base that typically is serviced with a tank that is required specifically for the use of that fuel over a long term. In this case, it appears that long-term option that they put away, that they decided not to adopt, was an option that led to this kind of a failure of a tanker truck that is probably, it may not even be road legal at this point. It's just a tank on 4 wheels with an engine, and that is what they're using to store this with. There's no probably no real requirement for inspection or other. We don't know. We don't know if that's the case, but we're saying, you know, if this is a truck that's not on the road, and again, it is fed or filled periodically with another truck that comes in to fill that tank up, well then it's almost like if there's no maintenance done to that aviation fuel tank on tires, then it's pretty conceivable that the maintenance just worked out of the system, and that tanker began to leak. Now, this was reported at noon. If there wasn't anything going on at the site for an extended period of time, if the men were either in the housing structure or if they were inside the building from, let's say, 6 a.m. until noon when that happened, then there could be issues with a leakage that wasn't detected. Now, I'm not sure, but I would think that a tank system would have some kind of a barrier, a permanent tank system would have some kind of a barrier, like a cement or concrete surrounding, to catch any materials that would have possibly leaked out of a tank, would that tank have ruptured. But in this case, the town took the option of not spending the money, not the town, but the town approved the process of not spending the money and allowing the fire department to put in a false permanent tank that would allow them to bypass that concrete storage area, safety backup for that fuel, and then allow this kind of a situation to happen with respect to that fuel spill here today. It's pretty crazy that we've got a number of folks here. The fire department is very concerned, as are the folks in the community. We have, let me show you this. We have this canal structure right here that goes all along the canal system, right past the park, and right to the road here on Main Street, if I can get around there. We come right down and we're onto Main Street right here. So this is literally right here in the village of Western. You know, this low point in this canal, sitting right behind that fire, that EMS spill there, at the helicopter pad here in Western, you can see the fence right next to the fire issues here, the fuel issues. And that fence is, that you can see, both of those fences belong to the town, and those are the barriers basically, or the dividing structure between the fire department property and the baseball and soccer field. Now that is a soccer field all up in where that fence is, so that area being right next to that fuel spill may have some issues in the future. We don't know, but we doubt anybody will tell us if there is an issue there, unless we go right to the state DEC and they answer our questions. We're supposed to be getting a call from the state DEC here in a little bit, just to bring some comfort to the public in the town of Western concerning this issue here today, with this rushed through, rammed through, without public concern and comment helo pad and its temporary structures for managing the fuel systems for that aviation fuel that they used for this facility. It's an industrial facility. It sits inside the town, as we understand, the village of Western and Westernville, and it abuts right up next to the town park with its baseball field and softball and soccer fields. So it's very concerning, first and foremost, to many folks in the town of Western, that they would actually approve such an industrial project right next to homes here in Western. And the fact is that as well as skimping on the safety issues with the fuel system here that they have installed, that's now putting the folks in the town of Western that have well water, which is well over 35% of the homes here, well water sourced from their own properties, and then that remaining 60% of the village of Westernville may be supplied by Westernville spring water. Now, we don't know where that spring water well is. We don't know if this is going to negatively impact that spring well that is used for the town's public for their drinking waters. We don't know where that is. We believe it is here somewhere, but hopefully it's not lower, and it's a major fuel spill over there. Aviation fuel.
What?
Yeah, aviation fuel, major fuel spill, aviation fuel. Yeah, right over there.
No,
Yeah, DEC is there.
we said something about that.
We told them, and they wouldn't listen to us.
Oh my God.
And there it is.
How?
I don't know. I think that it's very possible the truck that they were storing it in, because it's a temporary storage instead of a real tank system with a barrier around it, had a maintenance issue and leaked, and they didn't know it.
Oh my God.
Could be 1,500, 2,000 gallons of jet fuel. Yeah, they don't know.
Send me a message later.
It's on Facebook. I put it up there already.
Oh, look.
Okay. Yeah, that was Denise Minardi. She was with us when we originally started up this group in the town of Western Civics to actually make sure that the people of Western were getting a fair deal when this helicopter pad was put in. And she stated specifically, look, there's an issue of a fuel spill, there's noise abatement, things you've got to take care of to keep the noise down from this helicopter flying over the town. There are a number of things that you need to do as a town to protect the constituents in the town of Western. And these folks just didn't want to do that. The town of Western, the town board, planning board, and zoning board all failed to take any action on any of those issues, including a noise study or a sound study, which they say they have. But this sound study or noise study that they gave us is not for this site. It's for someplace in Germany or someplace in Pakistan. Could be someplace in the United States. We don't know. But it's a canned study about helicopters. It doesn't take into consideration any of the geography here. It doesn't take into consideration any of the vegetation, any of the trees, the layout of the land. It doesn't take into consideration any of that. It simply takes into consideration the sound of a helicopter at so many feet, at such an elevation, and moving at such a speed, if even it does that. So they promised to get that to us 3 times now. They promised that they would get the study, and they didn't deliver that to us then. Then they promised they would give it to us. Pete Donahue Jr. promised he'd get it to us before the project was pushed through, this project here, and he didn't get it to us. And now just about a month ago, we talked then to Carl DeFranco, the zoning board chairman in the town of Western. He promised he'd get it to us, and he did say he found it, but he hasn't gotten it to us yet. We don't know where that is. We don't know if he did find it. If there was something, it was basic. It was a pseudo study. It wasn't specific to this site, and it's basically not viable as a sound or mitigation study for helicopters and the noises that they impart to residents in the town that live in the area here. So we're pretty concerned that we've got this issue here today that we shouldn't have, because this town should have resolved the issues that could have caused this. Now, again, They're not sharing any information. I doubt they will. The DEC may very well share some information, and they're going to be calling us back soon. We've got we've got standby fire department vehicles here in case there's an issue. We do see that there is a vehicle there, the truck that was storing the aviation fuel that was used for this site is on site there. It is backed away from where it normally sits, and it appears as though, and the engine cover is removed from that vehicle. So there's something up with that vehicle, whether there's a maintenance issue with the engine, the motor, the transmission, the pumps, the whatever they use to manage that equipment. There's something wrong with that. There are a couple of guys working on it as we speak. They are closing that engine cover now, it looks like. So we're going to see if they are going to either start that equipment up and or do anything with that. Maybe it's in the way. You know, they're probably pulling out whatever other fuel they may have had in that tanker and putting it into the replacement tanker that they have there now. So if that's the case, then most likely they didn't lose all of that 2,000 to 4,000 gallon tank of aviation fuel into the ground surrounding that helo pad. Now, you know, the helo pad has a large tarmac area where the helicopter is rolled out on a skid of some type, and then it takes off from that skid. But that blacktop area is probably 75 feet square, and then the building itself is probably 30 feet by 50 or so. So that's quite a few square feet of surface area that any of that aviation fuel that does spill would not be able to soak into the ground right there. So it would very quickly be channeled to other areas. Now, those areas to the rear of that building, that is the canal area, and that is a very, you know, a low spot behind that building. I don't know professionally as an engineer what the absorption rate of soil is that's been, you know, bombarded with freezing weather for the last 4 months, whether that jet fuel, that aviation fuel, is simply going to pond in areas around that building. We don't know if that amount of fuel that did spill actually created a flow that then made its way across the field there. It's only about 100 feet or so to the lower areas behind that building and fell into the canal system. If it's in the canal system, that's a pretty crazy, crazy thought there, because that canal system holds water from time to time, and that water running down through that canal system is going to soak in and cause some issues for anybody in this general vicinity. Now, below the building there to the left is a farm. Directly to the left is a farm field, and we don't know who that is farmed by, but we believe it's Schallenberg. Again, below this area is a bit of a swamp area, and then beyond that is an area that's also a farmland where they raise corn and other materials, probably most likely for cattle. We've got some large equipment coming in here, large equipment. We've got another tanker coming in. That's a second tanker. We had another one pull down there. This is a really large tanker here. This is like a vacuum cleanup type thing. We've got a piece of maintenance equipment coming in here. They've got some pumps on there and some other equipment. That might be from Egan, we're not sure. I didn't see the sign on the truck here. This truck is going to be backing in. I know Egan has some resources that a lot of people do not have in the area. And if he's got a truck and he's bringing that out to help kind of clean some of this up, that's amazing. So this is a pretty hefty, to bring in a piece of equipment like this that is a good, this has got to be 4,000 gallons or so, a tank to bring this in here to suck up that material if it's on the ground. And that's pretty concerning to us. If that material is on the ground and they're going to be pulling that material up out of this wet, slushy snow and this rain today, that's an awful lot of material to pull up and put into a truck. Now they've got a pretty good sized truck, but it won't take long, depending on how they're going to try to pull this material up out of the ground. If that's where it is, that's not going to hold a lot of material. We'll see how they kind of go about this. We've got about 20 minutes of video here, and we wanted to get as much as we could for you, but it looks like very possibly we might have to take a breather here. Let's see if I can get some different adjustments. So we've got that car is pulling in, so we're good there. That truck, it is a big truck. It is large. That's going to hold a lot of material. You know, towns like this that push through projects without thinking and about the possible fallout from this kind of an issue in a town like Western, where, you know, we live next to Delta Lake here. This is, and we got a ski slope less than a mile up the road. There is a lot of recreational stuff going on in this community that many folks in this community depend on. And to have this kind of happenstance planning and approval without taking the concerns of the public to heart here in the town of Western is simply disturbing at any level. The town of Western zoning officer himself, Carl DeFranco, stating to the town a few months ago, you know, that public comment is worth about as much weight as the air you breathe. Now that is a statement, again, that is disturbing with respect to how much the people, the taxpayers, that may very well, who knows what's going to happen? They may very well have to fund this cleanup here of this major jet fuel or aviation fuel spill here. We don't know. We don't know what is going on. All we can do is base what we see, or base what we might assume based on what we're seeing here. We were told earlier by the gentleman there at the driveway that it was a danger. It was a danger to be here. And when we asked him, is there a danger of an explosion? Is there a danger of fire? He refused to answer. Again, prompting, you know, is it dangerous here? And then he said, no, it's not dangerous, but you still can't park here. And I see people park on Route 46 all the time off the white line, as long as you're off the side of the road. So I think they were just trying to keep anybody from actually getting a view of what's going on here in the town of Western. So it looks like we got the lights turned off on some of the the equipment and the gear there from the fire department. The fire department was taxed here today. They got a fire call on Stokes Westernville Road I would say it was about 1,000 feet or so, 50 yards maybe, from the intersection of Main Street and Stokes Westernville Road. On Stokes Westernville Road, a fire call. It was a house that there's no one living in. It was damaged in the tornado some time ago, and that house, apparently someone saw smoke or something, and so they took action and called the fire department. So the fire department had been on this site for about 35 or 40 minutes when they got the call for the Stokes Westernville Road fire call, and they sent a couple of folks over there as well. We passed them on the way here to look at this, to get this out to you. So we've got something going on there. As you can see, we've got some folks doing some stuff there. I'm going to go ahead and get a battery so we can keep recording here as long as possible to try to make sure we get as much of this as possible for you. So let me go ahead and get that.
Storage.
Mm-hmm. And is the river itself protected? I know that speaking with the New York State DEC folks, that the river right at Stokes Westernville Road, where it goes over the river there, that is protected area. So how far up the river does that extend? And if it does extend up the river that short distance, then it's definitely going to be in need of a DEC approval for that.
So there'll be a seeker form, which is
yes,
the DEC form that will address that. And right now, there does not appear to be any, they're not in a wetland, they're not in a floodplain. But that's something that once
We've got the old town dump as a buffer.
Yeah. There you go. Another question, if I may. With respect to the process of working with current vendors, one of those being Mercy Flight. Mercy Flight's a current vendor for the town and for many other towns in the area. In speaking with them, they said that they were surprised by the speed at which the town and or the fire department made a decision without conferring with them that they wanted to drop Mercy Flight, jettison Mercy Flight, and go with another subscription service. So I'm just wondering, is that typically the way that we work with vendors in the town, is to sneak up and surprise them, or is it? So there is a lot of news out there concerning train derailments and what that's doing to the local ecology in those areas, the environments in those areas where those accidents happen. Some of those places are unlivable for years. So with respect to any accident that might befall any one of these services, and or just the storage of the material in that environment, oil, gasoline, right close to that river that empties right into Delta, that is a pretty massive risk that maybe some of the folks here are going to be taking with respect to the environmental issues that could foreseetably come up.
Yeah,
It's a major, that the whole lake could
and
go.
there again, when we get into the project, we'll do the secret form,
Yeah.
and then we'll see, I mean, right now, it looks like there's fuel oil's about, you know, as far as a helicopter coming out of the sky, we have them going over every day anyways, I don't you know, it's not gonna be any different between which one falls on your house.
Maybe they'll be.
So they've got two trucks there, two fire trucks there. They're removing one. They might be removing both.
We'll just go through some highlights. I think it's actually typically 12 or 24. So a couple times a day, you've got 3 in, 3 out. Snow removal, as far as the snow removal goes, the lease with the fire department requires that Air Methods provide any snow removal, anything that they need at the facility. Fueling of the equipment is provided through a fuel truck. They're not proposing at this time on-site storage of fuel. If it was proposed, let's see.
I have one other question. You mentioned fuel truck. Is that going to be locally sited, or is that going to come in to fuel up?
No, so it basically, it would be stationed there and then go out to fuel and then be stationed there to fuel. So it's not,
It'll be parked in a storage facility.
Right there. It's not an in and out.
Right.
Of course, would comply with any and all FAA requirements. I submitted the secret form. We agree it's an unlisted action and will review the agency.
I wonder if they'll do that for us. So they're leaving these vehicles here. They're taking out the last vehicle right there. The maintenance truck is still there doing its thing. There's a maintenance truck there pulling around next to the building. It's right there in the middle of the screen. We've got another tanker that pumped it. Looks like this is the tanker that pumped the fuel out of the old truck that's sitting there. If that is if that's what was done, whether they were here maybe they were here filling that standby truck with this truck, and that's when the spill occurred. There's a possibility that the truck leaked as they were filling it. That's a possibility. I mean, to get another truck here to pump that out as quickly as they did would be pretty fast, unless this leak occurred much earlier than 12:01 p.m., which is when the DEC told us that they received the first call from someone here in Western to the DEC on this issue. So if the case is that this truck that's leaving now, this Patriot fuel truck that is leaving now, was involved in the process of filling the tank on 4 wheels that just sits there, and in the process of filling that leak occurred in the old truck, then that could be another scenario that may have played out here in the town of Western. So we don't have the big tanker leaving yet. That might be something that was summoned by New York State DEC. We're not sure. We do have a fire truck here. It doesn't look like they're leaving. Maybe they are. But we do have that storage tanker that's staying on site while the Patriot truck here is leaving. We're not sure who this is. Okay, so now it looks like that truck is going to back in there, and they're going to be working with the DEC for whatever they need to do to get this site cleaned up. So this is not over.
That's 24 hours, and it's proposed to be 3 to 4 people. I don't think we're going to have a traffic jam on 46. Don't think we're going to have a traffic jam on 46.
Line for you folks so that you have some input into the system here. Fire truck is coming by. They came down here to turn around. We'll see if we get any comments from them. So we'll get a good shot of what's going on right now. We're going to get some of this footage back so you folks can see it, get it prepared, and get it off to you. We've got flood watch out right now. We've got a flood watch out right now until 6:50 p.m. This is probably the worst possible time to have anything like this occur when there's as much rain coming down as there is now. It's coming down pretty good, and if that maintains its rate until 7 o'clock or so, we're going to have quite a bit of water dispersing this material over whatever area it exists there. Apparently, with the fire trucks going back, it appears as though there's not much of an issue any further as far as fire hazard here, which is a good thing. We're hoping that this is minor, but according to our sources, it was a major fuel spill. We'll check to see what is considered major here in a little bit when we get some time. Got a couple of other trucks pulling in here. This looks like a cleanup crew of some kind. That's pretty massive as well. I mean, we've got some stuff going down here pretty quick. They're going to have things like chemical absorption materials, pads that you lay down and that will soak up that material that has been sitting on the ground. Of course, it's been on the ground now for almost, as far as we know, a minimum of 2 or 2.5 hours. We don't know if the additional amount of material that may have either run off from that frozen ground or that material that may have soaked into the grounds around this area, and those are areas that are plowed and farmed for materials like feed for cattle. So whether that, and whether this material is kept local and it's used locally for cattle locally, we don't know if that's going to be a negative thing for any of the local cattle farms here in the town of Western. They're backing right up, right behind where that other vehicle is with that big piece, with that big pumper, and that is going to probably. And so they're backing right up there with that large pumper there, and it looks like they're going to be, they've got the door open as well to the helicopter storage area, and I'm wondering if that spill might have, inundated the inside of that building. I don't know why that would be open unless it happened during that refueling process there. We don't know. We've got, looks like a town of Western truck is also pulling in there with something. We're not sure what they've got, what they're doing. We know they're going down there though. That's a town of Western highway truck. I don't know. I mean, this is a private fire department. It is private. If we're using our equipment to mitigate issues for a private fire department, that's putting our folks at risk. If the worst possible thing happens and somebody gets hurt down here on the highway department, we're going to be paying for that. That's alarming to see town equipment being used for private fire department. We don't know why they would be doing that. It is a concern to us that they're doing that. It is a concern that they're doing that. You can see that truck is pulling right in there now. Maybe they're salting. Yeah, they may just be putting some sand or something down so vehicles can get in there. Still, I hope they're paying the town to do that, and that we're covered insurance-wise for that kind of operation. And that is a private drive maintained by the Volunteer Fire Company of Western. And to see our equipment and our people being put into danger if something happens while they're back there, that's pretty scary. The town will simply say, hey, it's okay, we can make those kinds of calls. But the people would end up paying if there's any issues. If the truck is destroyed or somebody's hurt. The town, the taxpayer pays for that, and that's I don't believe they take that into consideration when they do things like this. So let's go back to what's happening on the ground here. We've got these professional cleanup services, I'm sure provided by Patriot, that organization that is filling these trucks. Maybe it's a third party, a maintenance organization that is being called in for this cleanup. Maybe they're being called in by the EMS company here to clean up this issue. We don't know yet. They're climbing up on the original tanker that they used here. I don't know what they're doing, checking that out. They've got a fire truck on standby. Now it looks like they're pumping out the tank. So they are pumping out something from inside that tank. There must be some material in that tank still, because they're pumping it out and putting it into the big tanker that they pulled in. And once that's cleaned up, then they're going to go ahead and, if there's enough of that material on the ground, they're going to have to start some remediation. They're going to start that pretty quick. So, we still got a tanker, a fire truck up here in case there's any issues. They don't want to take any chances of not being here if something happens. That seems like a pretty good idea to me. I mean, anything could go wrong here with this kind of aviation fuel. This isn't kerosene. This isn't gasoline. This is aviation fuel. It's got a higher lower ignition point, I believe, than even gasoline does. So it's a pretty volatile mix of fuels, depending on what they're using here. So we're going to go ahead and get this back and get some other footage that we've got, and then we're going to return on site here in a little bit and get some more information out to the public here. Hopefully we'll get a call from the DEC explaining exactly what happened here, and whether or not the folks in Western that do have well water might be impacted by this. We just want to make sure, if there is an issue, that folks are well aware of this as soon as possible. Hence our call to the DEC to get any information that they had on that. Hence our call to the DEC. We wanted to make sure that if there's any issues here, that the people get that information as quickly as possible. We still got some fire folks on the scene here. The main fire truck has left, and we've just got the emergency squad who is here in case something else goes awry. We got the folks pumping out that old tanker that held the fuel, and so that is going pretty safely, it looks like. So we're going to head out and get this footage posted up so you could see it. We should be back here in maybe an hour or so to get any additional footage once they've got that cleaned up, see what they're doing. They've got that pump out done there. this isn't, it doesn't look like this is going to be a short-term thing. I think they're going to be here. They might be here till midnight or longer, depending on how much material was lost out of this tanker or in the process of transferring this material. We don't know. Hopefully we'll get some information from the fire department. Maybe we'll give them a call and ask them if they can give us any feedback on that, see if they do respond to us at all. And that would be nice for the people to know. I see a number of folks out there behind that truck there chatting about what's happening, what's going on, and what they need to do. Yeah, generally this isn't a gas station spill to have this kind of equipment come in here. This isn't a 5-gallon can of diesel fuel or gasoline. This is a pretty major issue.